Hello and welcome to Neography A to Z. On this channel, I take an analytical approach to reviewing the functionality of invented writing systems. That is, writing systems that were explicitly created, engineered, or invented for a constructed language, or to be used in place of an already existing system. I also review these systems for their aesthetic appeal in a less analytical way, but relying on decades of in-depth study and work in the field. This episode is a review of the Kelen writing systems, a conlang created by Silvia Sotomayor in 1998. It employs three writing systems, two of which are related. The third is quite unique and very much unrelated. This review will cover each of these. On the right, we see an example of the ceremonial interlace alphabet, which spells out the name of the hero Leviathan. I'm unsure of how it's pronounced. The top and the middle examples both translate to the phrase on screen, but the top is the box script and the middle is the regular script. Now we'll take a look at functionality. The traditional Kelen alphabet has 17 consonants and 16 vowels. These are modified for various phonological and/or phonemic changes. The lower image is of the alphabet in its alphabetical order. This chart shows that the shape of each letter corresponds to the distinctive place and manner of articulation that the sound represents. The columns indicate the place of articulation, while each row indicates the manner. The, quote, diacritic marks are used for sounds that fall outside of these categorizations. We see here that the standard writing system is not a one-to-one sound to character. Silvia has given this writing system a particular uniqueness that reflects the uniqueness of the Kelen grammar. Note that the similar sounds use similar characters or the same character modified by additional markings. This is very much like many Brahmic abugidas, even though this script functions as an alphabet. Unfortunately, there are very few examples of the regular script that demonstrate exactly how it functions. However, it is straightforwardly an alphabet, so the lack of examples do not hinder any understanding of its functionality. Contrasting the regular script is the Kelen ceremonial interlace alphabet. Silvia's site describes it this way, quote, letters start in the bottom right-hand corner and continue over, under, or under, over, etc., until they end up at the top right-hand corner. The letters in the first column are relatively simple. The letters in the second two columns interlace with independent designs, twists, circles, other letters, etc. The independent design is highlighted in green. The arrows are there to help figure out the interlacing directions. If these make your eyes water, don't feel alone. End quote. Now we'll go over the aesthetics. The Kalen regular or traditional alphabet resembles Devanagari a bit too much for my tastes, especially given that it functions exactly as an alphabet. However, the aesthetic appeal of such a system is very understandable. The box version of the regular script is very nice, but knowing that it is only rarely used detracts a bit from its appeal. The really great script here is, in fact, the ceremonial interlace alphabet, and I'm sure that's what most people clicked on this video to see. The intricacy and detail given to the design and function is unique and without compare in the conlang community. On screen is the name of the Kelen ceremonial script made by the YouTube channel Jan Misali, aka the Conlang Critic. This is further demonstration of how intriguing the design of this script truly is. The linguist Gretchen McCulloch even tweeted about the ceremonial script, quote, boggling my mind, end quote, when she read David J. Peterson's book, The Art of Language Invention, From the Horse Lords to Dark Elves to Sandworms, The Words Behind World Building. The user Wekok, I believe is how it's pronounced, on Wikimedia, took it upon themselves to render a line or string version of the ceremonial script. The result is an intriguing take on the normally very boxy script. While the traditional version is really great, this is somehow better and almost softer in its appeal. The repeating nature of the ceremonial script is quite apparent in the explanatory sample on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right, the t-shirt says Tashonikon, which means more or less conlanger, and is available on the Language Creation Society's Zazzle page. Further examples of the ceremonial script show that its intricacy is still fairly predictable. What's perhaps most relevant is that as long as the basic letters are correctly encoded, the design can be as detailed or varied as the creator wants to make it. Of course, the reader will need to be very aware of the writer's intended design or pattern, unless it's blatant or at the very least minimally complex. Here we see a garment with the ceremonial script and the traditional or regular script around the borders of it. I really wish there were more examples of this type of work. This is a clever way to show the contrast between the two and further add to the aesthetic appeal of both. On the left, an online fan of Kelen practiced writing on graph paper, which would also be an excellent tool in conveying the overall aesthetic of the ceremonial script. So I'm going to give the Kelen scripts an overall rating of 4 out of 5 for functionality and 3 out of 5 for aesthetics. While I really appreciate the artistry of the ceremonial script, I do think it's a bit too complicated, and the regular script is a bit too evocative of Devanagari for my taste. But they are unique and very well done. I think my bias towards simple symmetry and flowing lines has influenced my overall opinion of the aesthetics of both of the Kelen scripts. However, they both function very well and are quite different than the average script seen within the conlanging community. Enough so to be very much lauded. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Kelen. I'm interested in hearing yours. Next time, I will be reviewing a surprise script, so be sure to click the bell button to be notified when the next episode is posted. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I very much appreciate your time and thank you for watching. As a note, all relevant links used in the making of this video are in the description. All information is the property of its creators and is openly available online.